I received some fascinating comments from one of my previous videos talking about the joys of being child-free and if men actually want to be fathers. Because survey says 9.5 out of 10 don't. And personally, if you're a man watching this, I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say. I care what you do. I care what your actions say. What you say, indifferent. Now, let's dive into some of these comments because I find them fascinating, enlightening, and the beginnings of a much larger conversation. So let's talk about this one right here. This person says, I would say most men don't care about having kids, but a few of them kind of care once the kid is here, especially if it's a boy. But adoption to most men is an absolute no because men think they have to have a blood connection to love a child. Sad. Sad indeed. I'm gonna keep that comment here so that way you could stew on it. Marinate on it, let it become a gumbo in the mind, if you will. So couple of things here, two main points here that I would love to continue the conversation on. Let's start with the beginning. But a few of them kind of care once the kid is here, especially if it's a boy. Now, this goes back to this whole idea of legacy, I think, to a lot of men. I think that a lot of men don't view women as people, as people, whole people. And I think a lot of men, unfortunately, a lot of parents in general, but especially when it comes to men, don't see their kids as people. They see their kids as potential. But potential as to what that means to them. Like when my kid grows into something, will they be a legacy for me? Now, I agree, especially if it's a boy. Why? Because if women aren't people, then girls aren't people. So why would I care about the little girl? If she grows up and she has a husband, she's going to lose my last name. She's going to drop my last name, me talking as a man. She's going to become somebody else's property, not mine. I'm going to have to pay for all of these things for her. Like, she's going to have all these needs. All children have needs. What a lot of parents in general, but especially fathers, seem to keep forgetting is that the emotional needs of little girls is no different than the emotional needs of little boys. They are children. They are children. They all need to be fully developed emotionally to be productive members of society. But unfortunately, a lot of people in general, parents in general, look at little boys and say, he's just a boy, he'll be fine. We don't need to talk about those things. He needs to man up anyway. It's a tough world out there. All right, yeah, just as opposed to when it comes to their daughters, there's a lot more nurturing, there's a lot more softness, there's a lot more emotionally based conversations and hugs and cuddling and I love you and softness that a lot of little girls get, more little girls get than little boys, unfortunately. And with that, a lot of people consider boys to be easier to raise. They're not. They're not. And because so many people consider boys easier to raise, it's why men committing violent acts against women is it's everywhere. It's everywhere because people are not raising their boys. People are not raising their boys. Their boys are just growing up to be unraised men, generally just like their fathers. And now let's get into the second part right here. But adoption to most men is an absolute no because men think they have to have a blood connection to love a child. The way that I could not agree harder with this comment, the way that I could not agree harder. As I've mentioned in the video that this is coming from, I'll put a little picture of it right here in case you're curious about watching that one. But, oh wait, I have a burp coming. I took care of it. I didn't want you guys to hear that. You're welcome. But the way that a lot of people, men, a lot of people in general, but also more specifically men, keep saying, oh, I want kids, I want kids, I want kids, but they don't want kids. They don't even like kids in general, but they keep thinking, oh, I'll feel differently once I have a kid of my own. And then the kid is here, and the kid is a kid, and they don't like kids. But they think that something magical is going to happen in their mind, in their body, in their soul, that's going to change the way that they've always been, the way that they've always acted, the way that they've always responded to children, just because now one is here that is blood related to them. And that's just not how it works. And so now these kids are here, and dad is going through the motions to a degree, but you don't like kids. And now one is here in your house, in your face every day. Make it make sense. Here's an analogy. You hate apples. You hate them. They give you diarrhea, inflammatory diarrhea. You propel yourself off the toilet every time you have apples happen since you were a kid. You and your body hate apples. You never buy them. Even the smell of them makes you nauseous. You hate going to orchards. Like, you'll go to a pear orchard, like that's fine. You'll go to an orangery. You like other fruits. You hate apples though. Whenever you go to your friend's house for Thanksgiving or for the holidays and they're making apple pie, you say, get that garbage out of my face. It's disgusting. Go eat that in another room, you animal, because you hate apples. And then one day, for reasons that you're trying to make sense out of yourself, you say, you know what? I'm going to get a lifetime supply of apples because I can make this work. Right? And then people are looking at you like, hey, I thought you said you hated apples. And you said, no. I hate other people's apples. My apples are going to be different because they're mine. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to make my own apple orchard. And I am going to have apples all the time. And these apples are going to be different than other apples because they're my apples. And then you start planting this apple orchard. And then you suddenly realize, I'm surrounded by apples. These apples are no different than other people's apples. These are my apples. And then you start resenting the apples for being there. I'm just trying to make it make sense. I'm just trying to make it make sense. And it don't make sense. If you would also like to be part of this child-free and happily, peacefully one with myself, no apples here. Now, that being said, I do love apple pie. I do like apples. Personally, I love apples. Keep them kids away. But I love apples. Actually, I love kids also, just as long as they're not mine. Closed for business. But if you'd like to be part of this conversation, please like, share, subscribe, all of that good things. And I will see you next time. Bye.